According to the current Steam hardware survey, the most common display resolution is 1920 by 1080, and I guess 60 Hz is the most common fixed refresh rate. In fact, my Dell U2417H is just like this. Ordinary resolution and no VRR technologies like G-Sync and FreeSync. Therefore, many believe that only two synchronization options are available to us commoners. VSync off for low latency but tearing, and VSync on for no tearing but high latency. Actually, there are others. Among them, the most fascinating one is certainly RTSS Scanline Sync. It works with every GPU, display and API, and promises low latency, no tearing and no stuttering. Its only caveat is this: the 0.1 percentile of FPS must be equal to 60. In simpler words, your graphics card must be capable of producing a number of FPS equal to or greater than your refresh rate at all times. Now, how to properly configure SSync? As a demonstration, I'm gonna use Left 4 Dead 2, because it's one of my favorite games of all times and, in some scenarios, it can really benefit from a lower latency than VSync On. Step 1. Open the NVIDIA control panel, go to Manage 3D Settings, Program Settings, add the game to customize, set Power Management Mode Prefer Maximum Performance for consistency in GPU frequency and usage, and Vertical Sync, use the 3D application setting. Step 2. Open Hardware Info, click on Sensor Settings, OSD RTSS, select GPU Clock, tick Show Value and label in OSD. Next, select GPU Core Load, again tick Show Value and label in OSD, and position line 2. Step 3. Open RTSS, click on Add, select the game exe, configure the Scanline Sync to 1, switch Show On Statistics to on, and set the OSD X coordinate to 35. Then go to Setup, enable Frame Color Indicator Color Sequence, and enable Frame Time History Overlay Graph. Thereafter, locate the RTSS profile folder, open the global file with the notepad, and under the framerate section, add the line sync hotkeys equals 1. Then open the game.cfg file. Under the OSD section, add the line sync info equals 1. And under the framerate section, add the line sync flash equals 1 if your GPU usage in this game is medium, or sync flash equals 2 if it's low. Step 4. Launch the game and configure its video settings. While the sync disable is mandatory, you can set the other options as you see fit. But be careful, since your FPS must always be above 60. In my case, I can safely max out all settings. Finally, start the game. Step 5. You can clearly see the Tearline vibrating here on the multicolored bar. Now hold Ctrl plus Shift and press the down arrow key to move it downward until it completely disappears from the screen. Next, take note of the sync line 0 and sync total values and subtract the second from the first. The result will be a negative number. Step 6. Close the game and set that negative number as the Scanline Sync value here in RTSS. Well done! You can now enjoy all the benefits assured by this special synchronization method. But that's not all. If your graphics card was powerful enough to run an on the X12 game at minimum 120 FPS, i.e. twice the refresh rate, you could enable Scanline Sync by 2. In this way, you will not only retain the lower latency provided by the double frame rate, but also get rid of the tearing that naturally comes with it. So how to properly calibrate SSync by 2? Click one time on Scanline Sync in RTSS, go to Setup, Frame Color Indicator 2 bars, and then launch the game. You can clearly see 2 Tearlines now. Again, hold Ctrl plus Shift and press the up arrow key to move them both upward so that the lowest one never vibrates below the bottom edge of the screen. In my experience, this is usually achieved with a resulting negative number that's 4 times the previous one. Thus, set it as the Scanline Sync by 2 value here in RTSS. Lastly, open the NVCP and change the vertical sync setting to fast. What remains to do now is choose the SSync mode that suits your hardware-software combo best, and well, play the damn game. Farewell for now.